When you watched the videos, Dr. Goodwin, did you find them heart-wrenching?
Yes, sir, I certainly did.
A 4-year-old special needs child attacked nearly 100 times on a school bus in a single day, and the driver says he didn't see any of it. The attacks led to a lawsuit that uncovered evidence this school district knew something could happen, but did nothing to prevent it.
What was your response?
Might not be a bad idea to at least do some cost analysis.
A South Carolina lawmaker drafted a bill to keep this from ever happening again. That's until the state education department killed it.
The department understands why this legislation was introduced.
What does that regulation fix?
Nothing.
Whoever wrote this regulation, I would say they should be ashamed, but that would imply that they have the capacity for shame.
Well, the Chesterfield County School District and the State Department of Education have now paid $2.5 million to 2 special needs families. All of this after 2 children restrained in their bus seats were attacked on board a bus in 2018. A bus with no adult aid on board to stop it.
A bill that would have forced every school district to put an aide on every special needs bus now has no chance of becoming law this year. How the state killed it and why is what Chief Investigator Jody Barr is working to uncover tonight in an update to the longest ride, a Queen City News investigation.
When Autumn Engel's teacher put her on this Chesterfield County special needs bus for the ride home in 2018, this onboard video shows something was wrong. That something was the sight of a child identified as J.M., who'd landed at least 96 punches, kicks, bites, and slaps to Autumn on that day's bus rides, all while she was restrained in her seat.
Was she okay, Zach? Yeah. Did anything happen unusual this morning? Like she always does, she all of a sudden she just started crying. That later. Ain't nothing unusual happened.
Court records show 96 total attacks on the 4-year-old nonverbal autistic girl. She wasn't the only victim. Nizell Wilson, a nonverbal autistic boy, was also attacked by J.M., a child the district admitted it knew had documented behavioral problems long before this bus ride. But the district did not put an adult attendant on the bus to supervise these rides. The district left that to the bus driver.
She warned that putting the driver in charge of medical and behavioral disorders, along with a higher level of driving awareness, could potentially endanger the students, general driving public, and the driver. Right?
That's what she said, yes, sir.
The lawsuit Autumn Engel filed against the district uncovered a series of emails showing Chesterfield County School District Superintendent Harrison Goodwin and his staff knew weeks before the attacks they were putting their special needs riders at risk. The state education department's driver trainer, P.J. Krause, told them so 2 months before the attacks.
You knew by September 4th, 2018, that not having attendance on the special needs buses potentially endangered students?
We had received the emails from earlier in September that did note the concerns of P.J. Krause, yes.
And those concerns were specifically that not having attendance on the special needs buses potentially endangered students?
Yes, it did, and it was one of those things, as you know, that we went back and forth on because we were seeking clarification for what she exactly was saying needed to be done.
You knew by September 4th, 2018 that attendants should be supervising behavioral issues on special needs buses?
That she had said that was a role that they could help with, yes.
And when Karen forwarded this email to you on September 4th, 2018, what was your response?
might not be a bad idea to at least do some cost analysis.
The district and the Department of Ed paid Autumn Engel $2.2 million to settle the lawsuit last summer. In February, the state and the district agreed to pay Nizell Wilson another $227,000 to settle his lawsuit.
Representative Yao, we are taking up House Bill 3067.
During our investigation into what happened here, State Representative Richie Yao introduced a bill aimed at keeping what happened on this bus from ever happening again. It would force every school district to put an adult attendant on any bus carrying restrained special needs children. But at this House committee meeting in February.
Thank you, Philip C., State Department of Education. The department understands why this legislation was introduced.
Philip Cease, the Department of Education's Director of Governmental Affairs, argued against Yao's bill, asking lawmakers to let his agency come up with a rule instead of passing a law, something the DOE hasn't done in nearly 5 years since these attacks.
Upon further investigation, under current statutes, the department is able to write legislations, and the State Board of Education is able to adopt those regulations so that local school districts have to abide by those. So we can promulgate regulations in-house without the need of additional legislation.
The Joint Committee agreed, essentially killing Yao's bill. 30 days after that committee hearing, the Education Department presented its replacement to Yao's bill. A major difference, the DOE's proposed regulation doesn't require any district to do anything. A student with a disability shall be transported on a bus staffed with an aide if the student's individualized education plan so specifies. Something the DOE admitted in depositions that's already state law.
Are the buses that use certain child restraint systems required to have an attendant?
If there is something within a child's IEP that would require one, yes, sir.
The second part of the proposed regulation, if the school district has additional aides available, buses should be staffed with an aide.
It's a joke. It does absolutely nothing of what Representative Yao's bill meant to accomplish.
Patrick McLaughlin is Autumn and Nizell's attorney. He also went to that February committee hearing to remind lawmakers the Education Department's already had years to fix this.
So when I hear Mr. Cease get up here and explain to y'all today how y'all don't need to pass a law, the Department of Ed is going to take care of this with regulations. Where's the regs? Where have they been? This happened in 2018.
And for the Department of Ed to get up there in front of that joint subcommittee and say, we're going to take care of this with regulations. Whoever wrote this regulation, I would say they should be ashamed, but that would imply that they have the capacity for shame.
And it says a lot of ifs and a lot of shoulds.
Representative Richie Yao says the state's proposed regulation could have worked.
If you wanted to do it right, you take away the if and the should, shall or will have an aid. It's simple. One line. But they failed to do it.
Yao says he realizes now what happened in this committee meeting in February when the state found a way to kill his bill.
They failed to support our language. They failed to support our bill. They come back and said that they could do it in a regulation within 30 days. They've waited till the end of the year to put this regulation out, knowing that it could not be done when we had the opportunity.
What does that regulation fix?
Nothing. If and should. It should have been done a long time ago if someone would have had a sense to do it.
We asked State Education Superintendent Ellen Weaver to interview to explain her agency's proposed regulation. Weaver took over in January, but the agency's website shows the same staffers who testified in the Autumn Engel lawsuit are still with the agency today. Weaver would not schedule time with us, so we found her at this public meeting. But when the state board broke for a closed-door session, Weaver never came back to the boardroom, and we never saw her again. My name's Jody Barr. I work with Queen City News out of Charlotte. Can we talk to you for a few seconds?
I am so sorry, but I do have another meeting, and I'm already late for it because we had a meeting set and didn't realize this one was going to take so long.
After pushing us off to the DOE's press office, State Board of Education Chairwoman Crystal Stapleton also would not talk with us. And I actually emailed you twice in February and never heard back from you, so if we can walk with you.
The communication department would end up responding on that behalf.
In February, we emailed Stapleton and every member of the state board about our findings in our longest ride investigation, but not a single board member responded. The agency spokeswoman sent us a statement saying, in part, the department does believe that a regulation is the most appropriate avenue to address this topic. The regulatory process allows for the level of detail and precision needed to avoid unintended consequences, such as students having no way to get to school if there are aid staffing shortages or if a scheduled staff member is out sick unexpectedly. The state also looked at the potential cost to taxpayers. This fiscal impact summary shows the Department of Ed can manage implementing the provisions of Yao's bill within existing appropriations, which cost taxpayers $638 per bus aid per year.
I mean, who wants to be the one to say we didn't protect a single special needs child over $638 a year?
Both McLaughlin and Yao think there's no good reason for the state to have killed the special needs bus bill, especially when you look at what the state says it would cost taxpayers.
We heard a lot at that subcommittee meeting about how this was a new regime and things were going to change. And we were asked for patience at that thing, that we would see something new. And this is their answer. This is the same old gravy, just warmed over. Ain't nothing changing. They've had their chance to fix this. They haven't. The General Assembly needs to step in and do it. I mean, that's what we elect them for. If we're not electing and sending people to Columbia to keep the most vulnerable children in our schools safe, why are we sending them there?
Although this is the Education Department's regulation, today it could change. Part of that change begins with the public comment period, which is open right now. We've provided step-by-step instructions on our website for how you can submit your comments about the proposed regulation to the State Department of Education. Just go to qcnews.com, click on the investigation section, and look for this article. The public comment period ends at 5 p.m. on May 29th. The first reading of this regulation before the State Board of Education is set for June 13th. Now, despite what happens with this regulation, unless it mandates school districts put an adult attendant on every special needs bus with restrained children, Representative Richie Yao told me he's going to work to get his bill passed again next session to turn those ifs and shoulds into law, where a school district that decides to strap a special needs child into a school bus without an aid will pay a price for doing so.